Welcome to week 4 for our CAD 1101 class. Here is what's on our agenda today. We're going to mix things up a little bit though, and we're going to be jumping into this rocker arm guided practice before we do some of the other things. But we are going to cover a little bit about the customization bar tonight, which you may find helpful. There's a quick calculator tool that we'll be doing within the rocker arm guided practice. There's some shortcut keys I wanted to show you about, how to use the clean screen ribbon tool, and how we can change some of our drafting settings. So let's jump into using our AutoCAD today. The first thing I want to do is our rocker arm, if you'll notice, is in metric today. So I want to show you how to open up a metric template, which is important for the very beginning. So we're going to be looking for this CAD ISO as our template. Before I jump into that, let me just do a quick little reminder of when you are trying to create an angled line in CAD. One thing that was coming through on the homework was it looked like some of you may have been using your mouse to try to find 30 degrees instead of typing something like this. And this is really important. So once you're in your line command and you start it, think of this as a big 360-degree circle, and we're trying to determine where we want it to go. So you tell CAD using the @ symbol first, once you're in the line command, hey, I want you to go 3 units angled at 30 degrees. You find that angle symbol by using your shift comma on your keyboard. That's right next to the letter M. So it would be line @ symbol 3 angle 30. I'll show what that kind of looks like here in a second. If you are just moving your mouse to make the mouse say 30 degrees, it's probably going to be like 30.3 or 30.7, and it won't be 30 degrees exactly, and your drawing will be off. If you have a line in the other quadrant, it's the same kind of idea, where instead of it being 30 degrees, though, it is 30 degrees. It's 30 degrees away from 180, but CAD doesn't recognize that. So instead, we think of it again, 360 degrees. This would be 150, even though it's technically 30 degrees from the 180 mark. And you would type that in, @ 3 angle 150. And then same thing if we had an angle coming down over here off of the lower quadrant. So this one is pointing at the angle of 220. This might be helpful for you. Again, pointing and clicking your mouse is easy to do, but right here, this relative polar coordinates, this is the best thing that you can be doing in order to create that angled line. All right, so back to what we were doing. We're going to take a look at opening up a metric startup template, and we're going to look at that customization bar. So let's get started with that. Back to my CAD. Now, you know that there's 3 ways that you can find your file. If I go under templates here on the startup page, and I go down to CAD ISO, that's what you're looking for, CADISO.dwt. And as a reminder, the other 2 ways are if you go under the big red letter A and you go down to new, that will pop up your templates, and you can find CAD ISO here. Or if you go to this quick sheet of paper up at the top for new, it brings up the same template file. And because we're in metric, it's CAD ISO. Now, later on, when we start working with other drawings that are in inches or imperial, you got to jump back up here to this CAD. Don't forget to do that. So let's get our page started up as though we're getting ready to start our drawing today. And the first thing is, because you may be working at home and perhaps your CAD computer is not set up like our school computer, up at the very top of your screen, you should see a drop-down arrow. If you click that, yours might say show menu bar. You can click on that, and that's going to bring this entire thing up here for you. That could be helpful. So let's jump to format and go down to units to start. Now, we're going to be in decimal. Let's change our precision to 2 decimal places again. And right now it should say millimeters. If yours says inches, you have chosen the wrong template, and you need to go back and start with CAD ISO. It is too difficult for CAD to work between inches and decimal. Could you technically change it here? Yes, but CAD will not behave properly for that. We'll go ahead and click OK. Go to Format again, down to Drawing Limits, and it wants to know our lower left corner, it's 0, 0. And then for our upper right corner, we're just going to keep those numbers 420, 297, and hit Enter. And then we want to zoom our screen. So we'll go to View, Zoom, All. Now on my screen, I have my bottom row down here set up the way that I like it. It uses the things that I use. So yours and mine might look a little different. Like I have this drawing grid here to display it, and I can turn that on and turn that off. If you don't have yours on, you can go over to this little customization toolbar. It looks like 3 horizontal lines, or sometimes I tell my students it looks like a hamburger. But this gives you all of these things. Anything that's checked on here is down here. So if I did not have my coordinates turned on, which sometimes they aren't, it would be there. But if I wanted to see my coordinates, I could easily put that little check mark on there. The one that my students like working with the most, having on, and I do too, is line weight. So line weight is right here. This is what makes my lines look thicker than yours when we are drawing later on. You'll especially notice. So this line weight, when I turn it on, that little blue comes on. I like to have mine turned on. You do not need to do that, but here are some things that you might be interested in having turned on or turned off. Down over here, we've gone over this a little bit before, but just as a reminder, this ortho mode right here, this is going to make it so that your mouse only goes straight up and down or side to side. Whereas the one next to it is the one that I prefer using is my polar tracking. So when I'm on my polar tracking and I go to draw a line, notice how I get that green line that pops up with my mouse. And as soon as I'm on an angle, it does not show up. So that polar tracking lets me know I'm exactly flat. If you don't have that, that may be one you want to turn on. The ortho mode forces my mouse to only go side to side or straight up and down. I can't go on an angle no matter how much I try. So I prefer my polar tracking, but you may work better with ortho. Remember, do what makes the most sense to you while you are working with this. The other thing is clean screen. So sometimes you want to make this whole thing a drawing space, and you don't want this ribbon bar up here because you're trying to just work within your space. Personally, I don't enjoy that, but some students do. So we have this down here, which is our clean screen. I'm going to click it here and notice what happens. Everything goes away. So you could type in clean, and clean screen off is the first one that pops up. Go ahead and enter that, and everything pops right back on. So again, it's this little caret over here, clean screen, and then type in clean, and it'll pop back up. If you lose your ribbon bar for whatever reason, if you typed in ribbon, this would bring just the ribbon back, but it wouldn't bring all of this stuff down here if you were on clean screen. So next on our list are these shortcut keys that you might find helpful. AutoCAD is pretty nice where they have a few keys that if you type in, it'll automatically bring up a command or turn something on and off. So for example, if you click on your F8 button on your keyboard, it will turn that ortho mode on and off. So if I'm on ortho mode, or I'm in my line command and I want to be in ortho mode, if I click that F8 button on my key, notice what it does. Now I can only go straight up and down or side to side. And again, if I click F8 again, it turns it off for me. There are a few other things too. This is on page 229 in your textbook here. So if you are looking for example, you want to type in the letter A and hit enter, that'll bring up your arc command. If you type in L and hit enter, that'll bring up your line command. Q is for saving. So that works well for things like the line command. I could type in the letter L and hit enter, and now I can draw my line. It doesn't work quite as well for arc A and hit enter. And notice it only lets me choose either the start point or center point of this. Whereas if I do my pull down menu for arc, I have so many other options available. So some things it works a little easier with than others. Still a good command to use if you needed to. Helpful when you forget what you need to do, but you know what you want, so you just type it in. AutoCAD's gotten so much better over the years about that. And remember, if you ever get stuck in a command, hit escape a few times. Sometimes it takes 2 or 3 escapes to get out of that command. Let's see what's on our agenda next. And it looks like we're going to start off on the rocker arm guided practice. So I'm going to let you pull that up on your in your books.